One of the things that doctors don't realize is that at the front desk, there's duties that require attention immediately. If you don't deal with them, then you get fired.
Just like you said, somebody reached out to SMC and said, hey, we're interested in your services. We've heard great things about you guys. And we don't respond for a week or 2 weeks. And then we call them later and leave them a voicemail. They're going to go, no, we found somebody else. Like, you guys are too slow. These people are looking for something that's going to be really life-changing, but also a huge investment. But you're the first one within 5, 10, 15 minutes. They're going to go, oh my gosh, like they're on top of their stuff.
Welcome back to another episode of the Full Arch Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field so you can grow the way that you want. But it's hard to grow your full arch treatment if you don't have a dedicated lead rep. Today, I have the one, the only, Leslie Hunt, who's the implant lead development rep for SMC National and works with thousands of leads every single month, and also coaches people on how to actually manage the leads that are coming in for full arch. This is the show that you're going to want to listen to if you're having a problem of getting enough new patients in your door. She's going to share the 4 pillars that you got to have in place. This is a great episode. Stay tuned. All right, we are live, and this is going to be a fun episode because it's going to be super niche. And if you are involved in this side of full arch, you're going to really like this. This topic came up in our Facebook group. We have the dental marketing Facebook group, and this topic came up that how do you manage your leads for full arch? And this is a really confusing topic for most doctors because in GP, it's kind of like, well, your front desk just answers the phone and that's it, right? But what most people don't realize, and even in GP, you're losing tons and tons of leads, right? So you're getting all these leads, they're coming in, and you're just losing them. But in full arch, if you are not purposely and don't have a system and accountability around your lead management, and I'm calling them leads on purpose. I know that ticks some doctors off, but that's what they are. They're not patients yet because they haven't come into your office. They're leads. They're people who are probably interested in full arch, but someone has to sort through them and someone has to manage them and follow up with them and get back with them. And the reason this is such a big deal, and it's so much more of a big deal than GP, is that GP is a short buying cycle, meaning if I fall and chip my tooth right now, I'm just going to call an office until someone says, yeah, schedule. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to get the treatment. And it's a short buying cycle from the moment I get on Google to the moment I get my treatment done. It's not that much time. So you don't need somebody staying on top of these people. Full arch, long buying cycle. Takes a long time for people to come in. It takes a long time for people to make decisions. They're looking at multiple offices. They're making multiple visits to multiple different offices to learn. So there's a lot more nuance to the conversation. And today, I have Leslie with us, and I'm super excited to have this conversation because she manages hundreds and hundreds of leads, or probably thousands of leads, I should say, every single month for a lot of our clients, and has and trains people on this exact topic. So thank you so much for coming on today. And where do you think we should start this conversation? I think the question is, what do we need to understand about lead management for full arch? Like, what are the most important pillars that we got to have nailed down if we're going to actually be successful with full arch? You've probably noticed this before, but this podcast is unsponsored. What that means is we don't get paid to do it, but we want to bring you the best information possible. So how do we make sure that this content stays on the air? We need you to like and subscribe. Wherever you're at, whatever you're listening on, just give us a thumbs up or subscribe, and that helps us out so much. I know that you probably haven't done it, so I'm just going to sit here and wait until you do. 95% of our listeners have not subscribed to our podcast. So go ahead and do it now. Don't make this awkward. All right, good. Back to the show.
I think the number one thing that you've already said is to make sure that you have somebody to handle these leads. So an office has to understand that, say you're hiring us and we're marketing for you and you're getting all these leads and you're using Pipedrive to manage those leads. That's your CRM. You have to have somebody that is on top of these leads all the time. It can't just be, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day. It's gotta be constant that you're on top of them. The sooner that you reach out, the more that you reach out, the better. Because these people they're clicking on different ads, they're filling out different things. And if you can be the first to get to them, then that's the number one thing in my mind.
Okay, so a couple things there. So number one, you said a dedicated person, and then number two being first to get in front of them. So let's tackle those. Let's start with a dedicated person. Why is it important that you have a dedicated person that is managing these leads versus just letting Susan, who's at the front desk, just manage all of our leads? I mean, she always answers the phone. Why can't she do it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, she could, right? But you also have to remember that, Susan at the front desk is checking people in, she's checking people out, she's checking insurance, she's doing so many different things. But, maybe, I don't know, an office manager or maybe somebody else that is at the front but doesn't have all those duties, an insurance coordinator, I don't know. Somebody that has time available in their schedule to keep that CRM open and go, okay, I'm seeing these new leads come in, I'm immediately going to call. I think that is just a huge obstacle that offices don't realize. Like you said, in Full Arch, it's a long buying cycle, and it's not. These people aren't calling in and pressuring you. You have to call them and be on top of them and pressure them a little bit. So we need somebody that's there all the time to be able to handle it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, those are such great points. One of the things that doctors don't realize is that at the front desk, there's duties that require attention immediately. And if they aren't, or if you don't deal with them, then you get fired. Like, let me give you an example. If the phone's ringing and the front desk person's just sitting there and they're like typing on an email to a Full Arch lead, you're going to get really upset. You'll be like, why aren't you answering the phone? If a patient walks up to the front desk and says, hey, what time is my appointment today again? I thought it was at 1:30, but I got here, I filled out the paper. You don't get to ignore that person. Like, you literally can't. Like, you have to respond to them. And if a Full Arch lead comes in, you're not going to be following up with that lead. If the patient says, hey, I would like to check out now and pay my bill, you have to check out that patient. You can't be like, hold on, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on the phone and call this Full Arch lead right now. So it's like there's those time restraints. So it makes it impossible to be able to respond because you have time restraints already. And most people don't realize this. And this is why GP has an average unanswered call rate in the GP industry, 35%, which doesn't work for Full Arch. Like, you literally cannot do that with Full Arch. So you have to be available. That's the first thing. So you said that's why, like, an insurance person could do it if their full-time job is just sending in insurance. Well, that's not time restrictive. So they can do that whenever, and then they can respond to Full Arch in between. So it has to be somebody who has the flexibility of schedule to drop everything and respond to a lead when it comes in. So that's number one. And that's why remote people are really, really good at this, because that's their job. It's like, and you can measure, that's the other thing that I don't think doctors realize. You can measure speed to lead, which is a marketing term, right? Like, how fast did you get back to this person? So when you reach out to SMC and say, I want marketing services, we don't wait 2 weeks to respond to you. We know we have to immediately get a hold of you and schedule an appointment, because otherwise you're going to go talk to another marketing company or you're going to lose interest. So that's really, really important. Now, the second thing that you said was you need to have, you need to be the first to contact them, which goes back to speed to lead. Why is that so important?
I mean, I think just like you said, say that somebody reached out to us at SMC and said, hey, we're interested in your services. We've heard great things about you guys. And we don't respond for a week or 2 weeks. And then we call them later and leave them a voicemail. They're going to go, no, we found somebody else. Like, you guys are too slow. It's the same thing. These people are looking for something that's going to be really life-changing, but also a huge investment. So if you can be the first one to reach out to them and say, hey, I saw that you sent in a form to us, a survey. I see that you called us, whatever it is. But you're the first one within 5, 10, 15 minutes. They're going to go, oh my gosh, like, they're on top of their stuff. And then you talk them through this conversation and you get them scheduled. Why would they go anywhere else? They have no reason to look anywhere else now.
Yeah, 100%. And so, and people are like, well, I would imagine some doctors are like, well, why does that even matter? Right? Like, it's fine. They're going to go somewhere else. If they want to go somewhere else, let them go somewhere else. But the problem is it's a little more complicated than that, because what's actually happening is you're competing against multiple people now. So when they come to you first, you get first crack, and you're the first office that they're coming to. Like, that is huge. Yeah. Because it's basically your deal to lose, right? It's kind of like I just watched a football game last night, actually. And and it went into overtime. It was Detroit versus the Rams.
Yep.
And Detroit won the flip, so they got the ball first. And then they marched down the field and scored a touchdown, and the game was over. The other team didn't even get an opportunity because they scored first.
Yep.
But if you are getting back to these leads slowly, you're dealing with somebody now who's very dangerous, meaning they've got a lot of information. And let's be honest, Leslie, not all these offices tell the truth either.
Yeah.
Sometimes they bait and switch and they do different things. And so now you can be dealing with a very confused patient as well. So that is a big deal. I 100% agree with you on that one. What else would you say is a needed thing that they need to add to the front desk or to the whoever's handling these leads? Like what else is really important that you have to be successful with lead management?
I mean, I think just having a really good process down, it starts with number one, being able to reach out to them quickly enough, having somebody dedicated to it. And then number two, having a good process on the phone. How are you going to talk to these leads? What's your conversation going to look like? And then it moves forward, right? In the office, how is your consultation handled? It needs to be the same process every time across the board. How the doctor talks to the patient, how then you follow up with the treatment coordinator. If you have that process lined up, you're reaching out to them first, you're reaching out to them quickly, I think you're knocking it out of the park. I mean, again, why would anybody go, well, I really kind of need a second opinion? If that were me in the office, I'd go, okay, you got my business. I'm here. Your process is so smooth and on point.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So it's like, I'm just keeping track of this. So it's like, you got to have a dedicated person. You got to be the first person to reach out. So that means that dedicated person has to have the time and accountability to be able to do that. Then you have to have the process. What do you think about the qualification? Is that part of the process, would you say, or how do you kind of look at that?
I mean, I think it can be. I think it depends on the office, how far they want to go. I've had offices that we worked with that they want you to tell them the price over the phone, 100%. This is what it's going to cost you. This is the financing qualifications if you want to finance. We want to find out how you want to pay. They want to have those conversations. In that turn, you're going to have less people scheduled, but you're probably going to have really good, high quality people. On the other side of that, maybe you're having the conversation of, let's talk about maybe a little bit about what you're looking for, selling the end goal. You're going to get implants. You're going to be able to eat again, smile again, be confident. But let's just get you in for a consultation, and we'll just see what you need. And then they really do that process in the office. So it kind of depends the office, what your schedule looks like, what you're kind of looking for in a consultation.
That's really good. Is there anything else that people need to make sure that they have in a winning formula? Is there anything else you would add?
I mean, like I said, I would just make sure your process is down pat. I think that's the biggest thing. Whenever people come in.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you know if your process is down pat?
Well, I think that before you start, maybe marketing to these full arch leads, before you take something like that on, you sit down with your office and you make sure that you know where you all want to go with this. How do we handle these leads over the phone? And then when they come in for a consultation, what are we going to do? What's the process? And can we give the doctor 20, 30 minutes with the patient? And then we're going to move them into the treatment coordinator room and they're going to talk through all of this. I don't think that you can go, okay, we're just going to start marketing and then, we'll get them in and we'll just email them a consultation price, blah, 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 whatever. You have to have everything down step by step. To be able to close stuff like this. I mean, these are huge cases. So that's my biggest piece of advice, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Leslie. This has been a really good episode, and this is definitely something that people have to understand. You will fail at Full Arch if you do not have this figured out.
Agreed. Thank you.
Awesome.